in the first half. How does this prepare you, I guess, being on the field and actually more game situation minus preseason? How does this prepare you for Jacksonville?
Well, I think it was really good work both times in the stadium. I just think it was good to kind of go through that kind of the whole pregame routine, be in our uniform, be in some situational stuff. We did a little more of that today as well. It's just kind of that, the continuing the trend in the direction where we want to go to be ready week one. So I thought with the lack of the preseason games that this was the best way to get it done. I think, Frank and the staff with the decision to come over here twice. Now we have one more kind of probably similar to a training camp week, and then it'll be game week. So it'll be here before we know it.
George Bremer.
Philip, you had a couple of receivers dinged at times during this camp, and obviously some of the tight ends. Is there a silver lining to that a little bit, getting those reps with a lot of different guys? It seems like over these last few weeks, you've probably thrown to more than half the roster at those positions.
I think certainly you don't want to see anybody go down at any time, but I do think that it helps build your depth because you never know what's going to happen in the season. You hope we're as healthy as any team in the league and have all our guys every week, but you never know. And so the more depth you have and more guys that really play different positions, it can really help you when you get caught in a bind in a game. Obviously, you only have so many dress, but if you get caught in a week where it's like, hey, we got two guys down here and one guy down here, what are we going to do? Let's go. We're going to go. We're going to expect the same type of production and find a way to score one more point than the other team. So I do think it can be a positive in the long run, but certainly hoping everybody gets healthy here over the next 14 days.
Zach Kiefer.
Phil, you and T.Y. were rolling today. You've been on the field with him for about a month. You played with a lot of great receivers. What have you learned about him as a football player and a receiver, and how have you guys developed a rapport?
Well, first thing that really I think the first thing I would say is what a great competitor he is. That stood out to me very early on, getting to know him. And I think all great players, they're great competitors. And so he certainly has that trait. Also, the best receivers I've been around, they have a great feel for the game. And T.Y. has that, just whether it be throttling on a route or being ready for a back shoulder or, kind of that a little bit of that unspoken communication that you kind of have that we kind of can get on the same page. And so we've been able to have some of those type moments throughout training camp. And that'll only continue to grow. But it was nice to push it down the field to him, on the one today, and kind of getting a little bit of a rhythm. Because I just think, certainly as a passer, you get it's a little bit like a jump shooter, as you get rolling. And we weren't great today by any means, but there were certain drives where we kind of got in a little bit of a rhythm. And I do think I kind of mentioned to him, I was like, hey, we get going like this now, we're going to be tough to stop. So as you mentioned earlier, a lot of guys are going to touch the ball, and but certainly having a playmaker and receiver of his caliber on the field certainly is a big plus.
Stephen Holder.
Hey, Philip, along the same lines, you pushed the ball down the field to T.Y. on that one. I think it's been a little interesting for me, at least. It seems like you guys haven't done that as much. You can obviously do it, but has that been – do you agree with that? And then secondly, has that been just sort of a function of your personnel and what the defense has given you? Or I don't know, has that been intentional? It's just an observation we've made.
Yeah, no, and I think it's probably a fair observation. I think, sometimes, pushing it down the field doesn't always mean, a go ball or whatever, like the one I keep mentioning today that I imagine you guys saw. But sometimes it's a deep over, that's 20 yards that ends up. Those are the chunks. It's a big in route for 20. So those have certainly been sprinkled in throughout all of training camp. Some of it is, what the defense gives you. Our defense does a heck of a job of matching up, and then when they're in their zone coverage, of not allowing you some of those easy, I call them intermediate throws. They make them tough on you and kind of make you throw it underneath, and then they come and tackle. So, and I mean that's pretty standard around the league in that regard. But I think it's going to be game by game, week by week. Our running game certainly is super important when it comes to our ability to get chunk plays in the passing game. So you can't really stop both usually. I don't mean that about us, just in general. If you have a really good running game, it's hard to play the deep ball and stop the run from a defensive standpoint. So if you're not seeing many balls get thrown over their head, then that means we'll probably be handing it off quite a bit. And if we're running the stew out of it, that'll open up some opportunities for us to push it down the field.
Okay, 3 more. Jim Aiello.
Hey, Philip, I had a similar question for you that you got about T.Y. only for Trey Burton. I know he went down today, but you guys look like you had built a nice rapport during camp, and you're finding him quite often. What has been kind of the way that's worked so far?
Yeah, Trey's been great. I think, and I imagine it'd be the same for all quarterbacks, but I can only speak for myself. When it comes to developing a rapport with the guys that have that feel element, and I don't know that if that's because myself, that's more my style, a little bit of a feel element. Everything may not have to be right by the book. It's just like, gosh, do you feel that in there? I feel it. Do you feel it? And we kind of, and Trey has that as well. So he's an easy guy to read his body language, I guess is the best way to put it. And so he's been in, obviously he has some experience with Frank in Philly, and that's probably been a positive too, as far as system wise. It's been helpful, I'm sure, for him. So he's been a great addition. Certainly hate to see him, get nicked today. Hopefully, he'll heal in a hurry and add another dimension to what is already a really good tight end group.
Kevin Bowen.
Hey, Phil, it looked like you guys went a little quick tempo in that first series, and you were in a pretty good rhythm. When you guys are in that tempo, what do you like about that?
Well, it's interesting. It takes me back to 2013, really, and Frank kind of always compared it to a boxing match. There's times you want to go on a flurry and throw punches, and there's times you kind of sit back and dance a little bit, and then you go on another flurry, and then and then you go back to the corner, right, and regroup and huddle up. And so I think the ability to have all of those tempos to be able to change it up, week to week, quarter to quarter, series to series can be another tool in our toolbox. And so I do like it. The drawback of no huddle is if you're not getting first downs, then it ain't worth a hoot. So you got to be moving the football and getting first downs, and then that's when it really can wear out on defense. It makes it harder for them to substitute, and you can do everything. I think the thing with the way our system's set up and certainly my experience in it as well, along with already a really smart football team, is I think the whole playbook's open, even in that tempo. It's not like, sometimes, you go no huddle and teams have a, 7 or 8 play package. I think we can run anything in the playbook and from a no huddle standpoint, and that even makes it that much better.
And last one, Phil B.
Hey, Philip, thank you for your time. Talking to Nick Sirianni the other day, and I said, Philip likes to dump the ball off to backs. He's got a strong running game. How worried are you that defense is just going to crowd the box? And he said, if that happens, Phil's going to take whatever they give him. He's going to love throwing the ball down the field. Do you like that challenge if they crowd you, of having to make that pass 20, 25 yards down the field and make them back off?
Yeah, no, I do. I certainly the name of the game is taking what the defense gives you and finding a way to get the ball in the end zone, whether it's a 12-play drive or 2 or 3-play drive, but certainly feel comfortable pushing it down the field. And again, with our guys up front, they do a heck of a job in protection. And again, the way our offensive staff, Nick, Frank, and the whole staff, the way they tie the run and the pass game together, they marry everything together. So we'll be able to, certainly everybody feels good here 2 weeks before the opener, and we're all optimistic that we're going to stick and have a heck of a year, and as we should. But there'll be some 3 and outs and punts, unfortunately, throughout games at some point this year. I'm not suggesting that we'll not punt and not have any hiccups, but I do feel good about our ability to move the ball in any different number of ways, from run to pass to intermediate to dink and dunk to play action and take shots. So I think we'll be able to adjust as needed from game to game and week to week.